Hi and welcome. I'm Mike Gibson, District President of the Pacific Southwest District, and I want to thank you for joining me this afternoon. As we're trying to find out ways to resource people concerning the realities of COVID-19, we've been working real hard in the district to provide a variety of different things that we can give to you that would be helpful for you as you do ministry in this very difficult context. One of the things we hear all the time about COVID-19 are the realities of the health issues, the viruses, the things that hospitals are doing, what government is doing, how it's affecting the economy. But I have with me here today Ken Graves, who's a licensed family and marriage counselor. He's out of Newport Beach, and we're going to talk today about the impact that this is having specifically on children and youth. That's one of Ken's areas of specialty. Additionally, he's trained as a director of Christian education out of Concordia University, Irvine, and we actually had a chance to serve together. So I'm getting to talk to a friend today. Ken also has expertise in eating disorders, which I think is a big deal right now with the stress of this, because I'm sitting about 3 feet from the refrigerator. I know it's of concern for me, as well as sleeping disorders. All of those kinds of things that can be impacted by significant times of stress. So Ken, welcome. Thank you for taking the time to spend with us today. And I just want to start with a kind of a general question. What's going on in kids and children today? They're cooped up in houses. They're trying to learn online for the first time. Them as little tiny guys. What's going on in those families? What do we need to understand about our children?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me on. I do think that this is really important, and the mental health community definitely needs to step up and talk to parents about this. So as somebody who's currently in private practice, but as you can see from my home as well, I'm really getting kind of a bird's eye view of what's going on. And reality is there's kind of a range of things going on. You have the families that are just kind of getting by, doing the best that they can, just trying to make this transition as best as possible. And then you have the other gamut of families that are really, really struggling. And, what was pieced together before is really starting to kind of unravel, because you don't have the freedoms of our normal everyday life that we normally do. For example, a dad can sometimes spend extra time at work and not see what's going on at home, and the mom sometimes maybe doesn't quite see how bad the kids are doing at school. But a lot of families are getting kind of that firsthand experience now of what's going on when you're not around the other person, because we're around each other all the time now. So there's a lot of transition things going on right now in the family systems.
Yeah, one of the things I saw a little posting on Facebook that says it's the first homeschool. One child has been suspended and the other's been expelled. How does stress and fear sometimes that the kids pick up from mom and dad, even if they may not understand really what's going on? How is that affecting their behaviors? What can parents expect to see and not be too worried about it, because it's pretty common?
Sure. I think what we're kind of seeing is, little glimpses of what it's like for, Mike, you had a couple kids, what it's like, for them to come home from the summer break, or what it's like to come home for winter break. You have these moments of time where there's not as much structure. And one of the things I've really realized in my practice and what I try to implement in my families is structure is so important. Kids really thrive on that structure and that routine. And they may fight you on it and they may push back, but they really love that consistency that, bedtime is this time. We wake up at this time, breakfast is here. There's a routine and a comfort that kids really do crave. And oftentimes what happens is we're at home and, that doesn't fit into our routine. I have to go to work in my work office and you have to stay out there. And who's watching you when I'm doing work? You know, it's so easy, and rightly so, for parents to, you know, not have a clue of how to provide that structure. And so yeah, it's a real challenge for a lot of families right now to, you know, to provide that structure that kids really are desperate for. And I think
Now
the biggest
there's
thing I really try to give parents right now is some self-compassion. Look, there's none of us in our lifetime have done this. Nobody in our lifetime has had to do this. And so my biggest key is compassion. If you can have compassion for yourself, it really does go a long way with your kids for sure. And patience.
reduces that just stress that parents are feeling if they
Yeah.
themselves a break and do some self-care as well, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
If you were to talk to a 6 or 7 year old who said, you know, trying to understand what this whole thing's about, what kind of counsel and how would you speak to that child?
Yeah, you know, one thing I really stress a lot to parents is kids know a lot more than we think they know. Um, you just happened to say 6 year old. I have a 6 year old niece, and we were at the grocery store the other day, and she saw the panic. She saw the urgency, you know, not seeing anything on the shelves or much less than they're used to. And it'd be very easy to make some kind of white lie with good intentions of not wanting to panic them. But you know, for what we've been able to kind of experience, this is probably going to be going on for a little bit. And so I think some truth and love and age appropriateness can really go a long way, because kids need to know what's going on, for the safety, for the betterment of the family system. Um, and I think more than anything, this gives them an opportunity to know, like, you know, my parents have this. There's some control here. And so I think, you know, some things that I would say to my niece would be, it's okay. We're gonna get through this. You know, look at what we have around us. We're not gonna go hungry. You know, we have plenty of food, we have plenty of water, we have plenty of toilet paper, hopefully. Um, and you know, we look at this opportunity we get to have to be together that we wouldn't normally have. So there's some, you know, some honesty in there, but then also that reassurance that kids are really looking for. And that can be really tough when you as a parent are scared yourself.
Mhm. The idea of we may have this for a while. We all kind of know that, and I think we're all hoping it's much less than it is, but kind of knowing that there's more coming.
Hmm.
What are some? Are there any residual effects that could stay in place? You know, and there are kids that are afraid of. I know we had a son who was afraid of volcanoes. Well, we don't have any volcanoes locally, but those fears are still there.
Right.
What are some maybe some long-term realities that parents ought to be aware of?
Yeah, you know, not to kind of keep repeating, but I think the thing that keeps coming up for me right now is just the routines and the habits. I know for myself, you made a joke earlier about, you know, gaining weight after this, but you know, how easy is it to be mindless in our day-to-day routines? Um, to stay up later, to get up later, to not exercise, you know, to eat more than you feel comfortable. For some of us, maybe drinking more. You know, I've heard some funny things out there too about, you know, Corona time. You can, you know, start drinking whenever. Um, the reality is that for some people, especially when there are family histories of, say, alcoholism or high anxiety, high fear, some of these behaviors in this moment, can become habitual and they can become dependent. And then especially in the family system, as a parent, always want to kind of be asking yourself, what kind of model am I setting for my son or daughter in this experience? So I think long term, you know, families that aren't mindful of, you know, some of these routines and behaviors, can find themselves in some challenges down the road.
I can imagine a family that has been dealing with this shelter in place realities and then have changed all of their behaviors. And then all of a sudden we get the all clear. And then of course, mom and dad go, we're going back to work. Everything's back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
I can just imagine how much of a crisis that would be for a child who almost has whiplash kind of experience emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So as a person trained as a director of Christian education, in addition to all the stuff that you do, Ken, a professional church worker, what are some things that church workers, the providers, spiritual care providers, can be doing right now to assist the children, some youth in the midst of these times of uncertainty?
Yeah. Well, I know we have some amazing resources kind of really at our fingertips. Even when I was at DCE, it sounds like I should go get my walker now, but they didn't have a lot of that stuff when I was a church worker. We have so many resources right now as far as, social media can be a really good thing. It can be challenging for sure and within limits, but I've seen lately, my pastor now put out a picture earlier, and it says, church here, 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 and it's kind of all over.
Mm-hmm.
I think church workers have the opportunity to do some live streaming options, whether it be on Facebook or Instagram, options where people can just click on and participate. I've even seen lately, you can go on video games. You could do a video game system where people can log in and participate in your church fellowship. I know there's a lot of reserve for parents as far as video game time goes, but if that were an opportunity to have some structured video game time with a church worker, with other church peers, there's some really good ministry opportunities there.
It's a really good idea. Just even that remote engagement on the video game,
Yeah.
that continuing relationship to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
Yeah.
great. Well, Ken, I want to say thank you. Obviously, we can go on for a long time here, but we just wanted to put into your thoughts and minds, viewers, some ideas and things you can be doing. So a little caution maybe on things that you don't want to do or behaviors that you want to make sure that you've got in place. And Ken, I just want to say thank you and pray God's blessings on you as you continue to serve during this time with your clients, and that you'd be available. I thank you for joining me today so that we can do this together. So
Awesome.
all of you, thank you for taking the time, and we pray that God will wonderfully bless you, your families, your children, your youth during this time of uncertainty. And remember, the perfect love of Jesus casts out all fear. God bless you.